Welcome to the Madison Miller podcast. Now up is somebody that is a regular of the show. We talk usually horse racing and some other stuff. Jeffrey Byrnes, how are you doing on this Saturday morning?
I'm doing good, Madison. It's good to be back on with you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since I've had you on. All right, so our beloved New York Yankees are 10-3 to start the season. You surprised? Because I am.
I am a little surprised, given the notion that Garrett Cole has been out for all year so far with his injury. I believe he's not coming back until June. So the Yankees starting pitching actually has been doing a good job holding down the fort until he gets back. Carlos Rodon has looked like the pitcher they signed in free agency a couple years ago, and anything like last year, knock on wood, he's been really good. I know Clark Schmidt has looked really good. Luis Steele, I mean, I don't know if necessarily. I know he's a fit starter, but we'll see how long that role lasts for him. But he's looked good. And as far as the offense goes, I mean, what more can you say about Juan Soto? He has been everything the Yankees have asked him since they traded for him. He's got a batting average over 300. It seems like he's getting on base almost every single game, whether it's be a hit or walk or comes up with a big hit almost every game. He's been really good. I know Aaron Judge has been struggling so far this year, but I think he's going to get turned around. But it shows you how good this team is when Aaron Judge is struggling, but yet they're still 10-3. So right now, so far so good. Hopefully they can keep it up.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the 10-3. They've been the most impressive team so far because I know Pittsburgh's up there too in terms of record, but they've played weaker teams than the Yankees have, and the worst team the Yankees have played so far is easily the Marlins. I mean, the Astros are like 4-10 or something like that, but I mean it's still early for them. They played the Blue Jays, who are very talented, and then the Diamondbacks made the World Series last year. So I think the Yankees are the most impressive team so far in the league. So you mentioned Garrett Cole. There's so many pitchers that are going down with injury, and ESPN's Buster Olney said on his podcast the other day that he doesn't think that Cole's gonna come back. He was just paraphrasing it, but we'll see about that. Do you think he'll be back in June? Like he thinks he's going to be Garrett Cole?
Well, that's the hope. I know there have been reports that come out saying that he's targeting a June return. I know I just came out early this morning that Spencer Strider underwent surgery and he's out for the year. So another pitcher that goes down. It's crazy the amount of pitching injuries that have just been going on this year.
Yeah.
But as far as Garrett Cole, I mean, if not June, hopefully maybe in July, because I know he's been throwing and he's been playing catch. So at least he's doing some baseball activity. It's better than doing nothing, obviously. But if he can get back by around maybe mid June or sometime in July, I think it would be a big boost for the Yankees. Obviously, we hope that he does return at some point, but right now, I think the Yankees right now trust their pitching staff enough to where they can hold down the fort for a while, and the pitchers have done a nice job so far. But Garrett Cole's hopeful eventual return should be certainly a big boost for them.
Absolutely, yes. The pitching has been very good. I mean, Rodon, you mentioned, has pitched really good. He looked like he's bounced back, and he was the favorite for AL Comeback Player of the Year before the season, and I was like surprised about it. But he's pitching like the guy that's favored to win the AL Comeback Player of the Year. So you think Aaron Judge is gonna get going? I do too. My just concern for him is like the calf and the toe. Maybe it's just me thinking about last year with Aaron Judge, but I think he'll eventually get going too. Anthony Volpe is someone that I think's made a significant leap from year one to year two. What are your thoughts on Anthony Volpe?
Yeah, he is. It's been pretty impressive to see the jump he's made from year one to year two. And I know last year people will say it was a down year for him, but this is a guy who, remember, he had 20 homers and 20 stolen bases, which is very rarely done for a rookie, especially. And so he did show talent. We knew it was there. He was just a little undisciplined at the plate. He did make some sloppy errors on the field, but it feels like you see the confidence growing in him every day. I mean, his plate appearances, he looks much more mature. He looks much more disciplined. It feels like he's seeing every pitch more clearly. So whatever the coaching staff has done with him in the offseason has really translated. And it seems like he's now the leadoff hitter, and hopefully he stays there for good. I know Gleyber Torres is up there early. He's been struggling a bit also, but Hopefully he can get his year turned around. If not, I think there's a good possibility Gleyber Torres could get traded at some point at the deadline. But obviously, Anthony Volpe is certainly, if the Yankees are going to go far this year, Anthony Volpe is going to have to be a key contributor, and certainly he has shown that so far. Hopefully he can keep it up. I certainly expect him to hit a slump at some point this year, but hopefully not anytime soon, because right now he's playing really well. You can see the confidence in him growing each and every game, and his teammates certainly love seeing what his play on the field. And so right now we just hope to keep going.
Yeah, I hope they keep it up too. And meanwhile, the Mets, they started 0-5, but they're 6-7. So, do you think the Mets deserve some credit for getting within 1 of 500? I would give them some credit for it, considering how ugly it looked in that first homestand.
The Mets definitely deserve a lot of credit because they started 0-5, and it wasn't just that they started 0-5. It was a very ugly 0-5. The offense just couldn't get anything going. The starting pitching was just mediocre, but credit to them. They stuck together. They turned the ship around somewhat. I know they're just a game under 500 now. Had a good win last night. A very good series win down in Atlanta, which has been a house of horrors for them for a long, long time now. But to take 2 out of 3 down in Atlanta, I know it's early in the season, but that certainly should be a confidence booster for them, especially after that 16-4 win the other day, where Atlanta basically waved the white flag in like the 8th inning and just say, yeah, we're done, we're giving up. But it's a good series win for the Mets. I know a lot of people coming into the season thought the Mets were not going to be very good this year. I mean, I know the starting pitching, we'll see how long they can hold up. They've actually been a lot better than I think a lot of people give them credit for to start the year, especially Jose Quintana. But right now they're floating around 500. I think they can get above 500, but we'll see. I think as the waters tread deeper for them, but it's a credit to them that they can at least somewhat say that they're holding on right now.
Yeah, I give the Mets some credit too. I think I picked them to finish in 4th in the division because I thought the Marlins were going to potentially be a little better than people thought because they made the playoffs last year. But boy, was I wrong about that, or I look to be wrong right now about that one.
Yeah, the Marlins are a disaster right
now.
Now.
They're a mess. And I picked the Mets 4th because I just didn't expect the starting pitching to be any good with Senga out. I didn't know what to expect from their pitching. I picked them to finish in 4th this year, and who knows? I might be wrong about that one, but yeah, good on the Mets for turning it around a little bit. That was surprising that they went in there Atlanta, pretty much no pressure on them, and they win that series. I mean, no Strider obviously is a big blow for Atlanta. So your basketball team, the Brooklyn Nets, the team you root for, announced that Sean Marks is returning to the team. Do you think that was the right decision? I don't know where to stand on that. I mean, I see why they brought him back at the same time. It's like, they could have used a change.
The Brooklyn Nets could use a change in every way, shape, and form, meaning they should probably move out of Brooklyn. They should probably disform. I don't know. Either way, but it's been a disastrous season for the Nets, and really, the last couple of years, with KD getting traded, Kyrie getting traded, James, that whole saga. The thing about this Nets team is they do have quite a bit of talented players. I mean, between Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas, I feel like they have no idea what to do with him. It seems like the guy drops almost 30 or 40 almost every other game. He's a very talented player. I mean, the thing I thought they should have done was they should have just basically traded everybody at the deadline, trying to get as many picks as they possibly can, and basically start over. But they didn't do that. And now they're 17 games under 500, and it seems like they just don't know what direction they're going in. I mean, are they going to try and acquire a superstar in the off season to try to get back to the playoffs? I mean, what are they going to do with Mikal Bridges? I mean, what is the future like for Cam Thomas? It's just very confusing what the Nets are doing, and that's on Sean Marks. I mean, I know they tried to acquire superstars and it didn't work. Are they afraid to do it again in the future? I mean, I know Sean Marks has drafted well in the past, so maybe that's why the Nets want to keep him on, but I believe they don't have any draft picks coming up in this summer. So it's a very strange situation going on in Brooklyn. It's just a mess.
It is a mess. I mean, are they a bigger mess than the Giants? I would say they are, right?
Oh, 100% they're a bigger mess than the Giants. The Brooklyn Nets might be one of the most dysfunctional organizations right now, not just in New York, but maybe in all of basketball. It's crazy how they were the talk of the town just a few short years ago, and now they're just not even, they're further than irrelevant.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy that they were the talk over the Knicks because of the stars they had, and you guys getting I say you as in like you're a Nets fan. Like the Nets signed Durant and Irving. I'm miserable as a Knicks fan because I wanted them so bad, or at least wanted Durant. But hey, it couldn't have worked out any worse for Brooklyn and any better for the Knicks, which was not, and I mean, not predicted really by anybody. I mean, Kyrie obviously did have some baggage in the past before the Brooklyn stuff, but yeah, it was just crazy how the Brooklyn thing just fell apart. Meanwhile, my Knicks are gonna have home court in the first round of the playoffs, maybe even the first 2 rounds of the playoffs if they get a 2 or a 3 seed. If who do you think that the Knicks should dodge in the first round? I mean, I'm afraid of Philadelphia the most in terms of potential round one opponents.
Before I answer that question, I think Jalen Brunson better get MVP votes because what this man is doing in the league right now is just unheard of, and it's just unfair to his competition. Jalen Brunson has been, without question, I think the best player in the Eastern Conference within the last month, and he has led this Knicks team to. I think the Knicks have a really good possibility of going far in the playoffs. I think the opponent that they want to avoid, I do agree, I think it is the 76ers, because now you get a healthy Joel Embiid back. I know there was a bit of a scare last night, but it seems like he came out of it fine, but a healthy Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey back in the fold. The 76ers are going to be tough, and they were one of the best teams in the NBA before Joel Embiid went down, and then they went on a little bit of a slide, but then now they've fought back a little bit. But if the Knicks can avoid the 76ers, I think right now, I think there's a good chance they could go far in the playoffs. I think they can get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals.
Me too.
Because I don't really trust the Cavaliers. I think are frauds. I'm not a big fan of the
Oh
Cavaliers.
yeah.
The Orlando Magic, I think they're good. They're a young team, but I think they're too experienced in the playoffs. The Pacers, I think same thing. They're a very young, talented team, but I also think being inexperienced in the playoffs will come back to hurt them. The 76ers, I think, do scare me because of the factor of Joel Embiid returning. The Miami Heat, I know they've been the biggest fool for the Knicks for a long time now, and I know Eric Spoelstra's down there, but I don't really trust this Miami Heat team a lot. And especially, like, this Knicks team right now just feels like they are playing their best basketball. As long as Jalen Brunson's on the court, I think they have a chance to win every night. I mean, and the Milwaukee Bucks, it's Doc Rivers. I mean, what more can you say? You cannot trust Doc Rivers in a postseason if your life depends on it.
Right.
So right now, I think if the Knicks get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think they have a good chance of getting to the finals. Anything short of an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, at least, would be a massive disappointment to me.
I mean, I would say getting to the Eastern Conference Finals is a big accomplishment. I mean, I'd say it's a massive disappointment if they lose in round one, but it also depends on who they play because Sixers and Embiid, they scare me. Even Miami scares me. I'm more scared of Miami than you are, only because of last year, and I love Butler and Bam, and Spo is the best coach in the league, so, like, they scare me so much. I would consider it massive disappointment if they lost to, say, Indiana, like Charles Barkley thinks they're going to, or Orlando, or Cleveland. I think it's a disappointment if they don't make the conference finals, considering the state of the conference. But also, Julius Randle's also still hurt too. So the what if with Julius Randle is obviously sitting there for the Knicks as well. But then again, at the same time, Julius Randle in the postseason wasn't all reliable for them. He did come up short a bunch, but we'll see with the Knicks. I'm really looking forward to it. And it should be an interesting spring in New York with them and the Rangers both in the playoffs, and both teams are going to have home court and home ice in round one. So, you know where my stress level is going to be these next couple weeks, Jeff.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, my goodness. But I still think the Rangers have a better chance to go far than the Knicks, only because of the the Rangers have like more experience and they don't have a big injury like the Knicks do. Although it's conceivable that they both make the conference finals, which is crazy. Obviously, more likely the Rangers to potentially win a championship with the group they have, and so yeah, gonna be a fun few weeks for me for sure. And then the other thing that's gonna be stressing me out these next couple weeks, and maybe you too, is what are the New York Football Giants gonna do with the 6th pick in the draft?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I have no idea what the Giants are going to do right now. It's like it feels like they're running a tight ship over there. It seems like they're letting out little leaks, but maybe they like J.J. McCarthy. Oh, they like maybe Malik Neighbors, Drake May. It's right now. It's a big mystery of what the Giants are going to do, because right now, if I were to predict right now, obviously Caleb Williams is going to go number 1 to Chicago. I think everybody knows that by now. Right now, my early prediction, I think Washington is targeting Jaden Daniels with the number 2 overall pick. And if Daniels goes to Washington, it'll be I think the Patriots are in a very interesting situation. Do they like Drake May to be the starting quarterback in the future? If not, then do they maybe like J.J. McCarthy? Like, I don't know what the possibility is. That maybe if the Giants like one of those 2 quarterbacks, could they possibly be a trade partner to go up to number 3? That's going to be I think the Patriots are the biggest wild card of this draft in terms of if they don't like some of these quarterbacks, could they possibly trade back with a team like the Giants who say they like a Drake May or J.J. McCarthy? Could they go up to number 3?
Yeah, interesting for sure.
The biggest thing, though, is if you're the Giants, if you're Joe Shane, if you're Brian Daboll, obviously you want to keep building this team up. I know last year was disappointment, but you do have some young talent on the team. Let's say you stick at number 6. And say if the Giants, let's say, like, there's a report coming out that the Chargers possibly could be targeting like a Joe Alt, the offensive tackle, number 5. And that he's a very big player to be at the number 5 position. There's a good chance that one of these top receivers could come to you at number 6. I would be a Malik Neighbors or a Roma Dunze. If the Giants draft one of those guys, would you be happy with that? Because honestly, the Giants, I think, need a number 1 receiver. If they draft Neighbors, I would be thrilled.
Me too. I mean, my dream guy is Harrison. If Harrison were to somehow fall in, because I've seen Neighbors mock to Arizona at 4 in some of these. And then, say Minnesota moves up to 5 and takes J.J. McCarthy, which would be wild. And then MHJ sitting there at the Giants for 6. That's my dream scenario. I love MHJ.
Oh, yeah. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is somehow there at number 6, Joe Shane better be running to the phone, picking up that phone and drafting him right away, because that would be wild if they could get Marvin Harrison Jr. At number 6.
Yeah, that would be the steal of the draft.
That would absolutely be the steal of the draft. But at the same time, it's like, obviously, I think these guys do want to take a quarterback, so that's going to be the big question also. If you want to, let's say if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there at 6, you take him. If Malik Neighbors is there at 6, I think you take him. But the question for them is going to be, if you want to draft a quarterback and find a future successor to Daniel Jones, when are you going to do it? Because obviously you're not going to do it probably with the 6th pick. Are you going to possibly move up with the 2nd round pick, maybe target a guy like Michael Penix? I mean, if not now for Shane and Dable, then when? It's the big question for me.
Exactly. And you brought up Michael Penix Jr. That's the ideal guy for me to move up and get. I'm a fan. I think that he had a really good year this past year, and I know people say, like, oh, look at the weapons he had, but I think that guy's really talented. He was in the mix for the Heisman Trophy most of last year, and granted, he was in the Pac-12 too and whatnot, but I really like Penix. I think that I like him as a better fit for the Giants than J.J. McCarthy. My single biggest fear for J.J. McCarthy is that he was a product of Jim Harbaugh in that system, kind of like how I felt about Colin Kaepernick was when he was with the 49ers. And then once Jim Harbaugh left the 49ers, he regressed really bad. So, like, that's my biggest fear about McCarthy, as good as he was in the college football playoff. I mean, what he did against Bama was impressive at that final drive, and then obviously his team beat Penix's team in the title game. But I'm not a big McCarthy fan. If they move up for a quarterback, I'd rather it be May or Daniels.
I definitely understand that point. If they're going to move for a quarterback, I think it would be more for Drake May than anybody else. The thing about McCarthy is I understand by people's concerns and everything, but the thing is I've seen what Brian Dable has done with quarterbacks over his career. Obviously, developing Josh Allen, and then coming over. I know last year was a disappointment, but Daniel Jones, remember, year one under Brian Dable he was good. Like he played really well. And obviously, he took down to the playoffs and he won a playoff game. Now, could that have been because Saquon Barkley was carrying the load a lot? Maybe, but Daniel Jones only had like 8 turnovers his first year combined, and really cut the turnovers. And like I said, last year I know was a disappointment, and obviously, things kind of went out haywire. But obviously, the work he also did with Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor put up some of the best numbers of his career. So the thing about these quarterbacks is like even if they do take like a JJ McCarthy, like. Are we sure like Brian Dable can't like help develop him and mold him into a good quarterback? Because we've seen the work he's done with quarterbacks and it's been impressive for the most part. Now, I'm not saying JJ McCarthy's going to like help us win a Super Bowl or anything, but I'm not saying like I'm like the biggest fan of him, but I think I would give him a chance under this regime, under Brian Dable. And as far as Michael Penix goes, I like him a lot too. I know there's concerns from a lot of people about his injury history. I think he told both his ACLs and had 2 major shoulder injuries. But I think he's a very good quarterback, and he's got a cannon of an arm. I think he can be very mobile. I don't think the injuries have slowed him down. If the Giants, let's say they do take like a Malik Neighbors or even a Marvin Harrison, if he somehow gets there at 6, it would not surprise me if they use that second-round pick to maybe try and move up or maybe somehow find a way to get like a Michael Penix.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated to see what the Giants do with the quarterback situation. And you're right about Daboll. I undersold that. He actually got a lot out of DeVito and Taylor last year. And that Packers game was just incredible. That comeback they had against Green Bay, like that was just so like I'm not gonna say it was unexpected because like they had a lead in that game. But, like, DeVito driving them down the field, that game looks even more impressive now considering that Green Bay almost knocked off the 49ers in the divisional round of the playoffs. And I think Jordan Love is going to be a star quarterback. I really do. And
Tommy DeVito outplayed Jordan Love in that game.
He did. And Daboll was just incredible, like, coaching up him and Taylor. So maybe I'm too down on J.J. McCarthy. But yeah, maybe I'm too, I just keep forgetting about Daboll and, like, his work with quarterbacks. You're right. He is really good with working with the quarterbacks. So that is something to absolutely factor in with whomever they take. Because Daboll is just a mastermind. And I'm one of his biggest fans. I love Brian Daboll. So another draft subplot to me is what are the Jets going to do at 10? If Brock Bowers were to fall to them, that would just be incredible. Because that was everybody's pick for the Chargers, and then they go and trade Keenan Allen away, and now people are mocking them to trade down or to take a receiver or to take a lineman.
Yeah, it's very fascinating what the Jets could do. They could go a number of ways because, honestly, I think they've had a very, very good offseason. They rebuilt their offensive line. I know it's short term they've rebuilt the offensive line. Tyron Smith, who I think is a future Hall of Famer, is now going to be the starting left tackle this year. Training for Morgan Moses, getting John Simpson from the Ravens too. So they've, in addition to their Elijah Vera talking, so their offensive line I think is actually pretty good, at least for this year. But obviously, I know they signed Mike Williams to try to help bolster their wide receiver room, but there were reports coming out that he might not even be ready for the season because he's still recovering from his ACL injury. So they could definitely go a number of ways with that number 10 pick. Honestly, it would not surprise me if they draft another offensive lineman because, like I said, Tyron Smith is there this year, but it's only a 1-year deal. So they want to think probably long term about who's their left tackle in the future. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be there, but maybe like a Joe Alt if he falls down to them, or J.C. Leffman, the tackle from Alabama, if he's there. Brock Bowers, I think, would be interesting because I know the Jets, they have Tyler Conklin, who's pretty good. They have another tight end, Jeremy Rucker, I believe his name was, who I think he's okay, but just don't really give him a lot of opportunities. Brock Bowers, I think, would be a game changer for them, and I think would be a big weapon for Aaron Rodgers when he comes back. So
Absolutely.
if Brock Bowers is there at 10, I would not surprise me if the Jets do ultimately end up drafting him. Right now, I would say it would probably be either Brock Bowers or an offensive tackle with the number 10 pick. I think a wild card could be, if he somehow gets to 10, is Rome Odunze, because
Ooh.
obviously you would love to get another wide receiver in that room to accommodate Garrett Wilson, especially if Mike Williams is not going to be ready for the start of the season. Plus, Mike Williams is also on a 1-year deal, too. So, right now, I would say it's Brock Bowers, an offensive tackle, or maybe if Odunze somehow falls to them at 10, that could be the pick as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who they pick. I mean, Bowers, I think, makes the most sense because that's just another guy for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And you're right about the offensive line, about how they rebuilt his short term. I absolutely love that they added Moses and Smith. Those are two really good tackles. So it's going to be fascinating to see what the Jets do at 10. And before we go, Kentucky Derby prep races. Have you been following this?
Oh, of course. So the last Kentucky Derby prep is today. It is the Stone Street Lexington Stakes at Keeneland. Goes off at about 5:50 this afternoon. So this race, well, it's only a 20-point prep race, which obviously is less than significant than the 100-point races. But it is significant because a couple of horses in here that either could get in or just on the outside looking in and might need a couple of defections, including the number 5 horse in the race. His name is Hades, who earlier this year won the Grade 3 Holy Bull Stakes over the 2-year-old champion and probable Kentucky Derby favorite Fierceness for trainer Todd Pletcher. Hades ran back in the Florida Derby with a disappointing 5th. He still needs points to get into the Derby, so his trainer George Stino wheels him back 2 weeks later after the Florida Derby to come into this spot. He's the morning line favorite for this race, and I think if he gets the right trip, I think he gets a good chance of winning, but he is, I think, the class of the field. Also in this race that could be a possible player for the Derby, like on the outside looking in, is number 8 Encino for trainer Brad Cox. He won the John Battaglia Memorial at Turfway Park earlier this year to get 20 Kentucky Derby points, but he has not run back since. Now, he has to win today in order to truly be on the outside looking in. I think anything short of a win, and they'll probably move on to other races down the line. So today is the last Kentucky Derby prep race, and then the projected field of 20 will be set. Obviously, there's very good chance that there could be some defections going into the race, so the field won't officially be set in stone today, just the first 20. So the Kentucky Derby is 3 weeks away. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, very exciting time for sure. I can't believe it's 3 weeks away already. That the winter just went so quick, and they know there were a couple of prep races last week too, and I knew today was the last one. So I'm interested to see who wins that. And one quick thing before we go, are you watching any Masters, or are you interested in seeing how Tiger does or whatnot?
Yeah, I've been flipping the Masters right now. I know Bryson DeChambeau is winning, and the question is, can he keep it up? I'm not exactly sure. I don't think he's never been a big player. Never been a big fan of the Masters tournament. He's always has not done well there. Scotty Scheffler is tied for the lead right now. I think he's the guy to beat. I think he's the best golfer in the world right now at -6. I think one guy I think to keep an eye on is Colin Morikawa at -3. He's tied for 5th right now, but he's had a really good round yesterday. He's been coming on strong. If he has another good round today, I think he'll be ranked contention for the win on Sunday. And so obviously right now Scotty Scheffler will be the favorite for me to win.
Absolutely, he was like plus 470 on FanDuel, and then like the next number was like 10-1 for like, I want to say it was like John Rahm or Xander Schauffele was 14. So I think it was like John Rahm was 10-1. My pick is Brooks Koepka. He made the cut. He was 2 over. But do you think there's a possibility of, I mean, it doesn't have to be Koepka, but who do you think could have like that big day today since the weather's nicer in Augusta? Do you think there's going to be somebody that's like over par right now that could just get hot today and make a run? I have a name in mind, but I want to hear who you have in mind for this.
Well, my person, he's right. He's even par right now. I would say Xander Schauffele could be a run
Oh,
for a big day. I know Xander Schauffele. Of course, he was what do you call it? He was tied for second in the Masters a few years ago, but I think he definitely could have a big round today. I know he's been hitting the clubs good. He's even par right now. Obviously, with the weather cooperating, I think he could be in line for a big day.
I think Hideki Matsuyama could be in line for a big day. He's 3 over right now, and he's had some history at the Masters in the past. So I think if anybody has a big day today, my two picks would be, I mean, maybe I'm biased with my Brooks Koepka pick. I mean, he's had success at Augusta in the past. And Hideki Matsuyama, those would two be my two picks to turn around. And where do you see Tiger finishing up? Do you think that he stays around like that even 1 over, or do you think he falls out?
I hope. Well, I hope that we see him in contention. Hopefully, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll probably stay around even par for the remainder of the tournament. Maybe he can get over par, but yeah, I don't think he's got any shot at winning. But right now, I just hope he finishes because I know he has dropped out of the last couple tournaments he's been in. But yeah, if he does finish, I think he'll stay around even.
Yeah, I think it's going to be even, or he'll finish with 1 over or something like that. All right, Jeff, it was a pleasure to have you on. Next time I'll have you on will be in a couple weeks when we do our tradition like no other with the Kentucky Derby preview and picks.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait for a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.